In this lesson, we're going to take some time to learn how to generate Javadocs and open the attached Javadoc for specific classes. Now these Javadocs are of course very useful when we're distributing our code and we need other people to quickly have some documentation to reference how they can interact with our specific classes or our projects. And so this will give us a real nice way to quickly generate that and make it accessible for other people. So let's go ahead and open datafilemanipulator.java. And in this, we can see that we have some already in place comments which are in the Javadoc format. But we have one error that needs to be fixed before we go any further. This data file manipulator was previously written with an extra parameter that no longer exists. So let's go ahead and delete that line and save our code. Now the rest of our Javadocs should be good to go, and we should be ready to view the Javadoc for our file. So let's browse to Navigate, open Attached Javadoc, and note that it's available using Shift plus F2. And when we hit this, what we'll see is that right now it'll tell us the Javadoc documentation location has not been configured. So essentially we have to configure somewhere for the Javadocs to be located. Now they could be pre-compiled and already existing somewhere and we should have pointed to that folder, or we may have to generate them, especially if this is our own code. So it says, please tell us what the location URL for the Javadoc is and set that on your properties page for your parent project, Infinite Skills Password Manager. So let's go ahead and do that. So over here in the Project Explorer, let's right-click on Infinite Skills Password Manager project, and down at the very bottom, select Properties, which you'll note is also accessible using Alt plus Enter, which on the Mac is of course Option Enter. When we open this, we have a number of things that we can configure about this project's properties, but what we're looking for specifically is the Javadoc location. Here what we want to do is set a path where the Javadoc location will be located for this specific project. So let's go ahead and browse, and we'll find on our computer the project that we're working with. Now it makes sense to me to place these files inside of the same project, but you could place them anywhere you'd like. So here's our Java projects, and here we have Infinite Skills Password Manager. And let's make a new folder inside of there, and let's rename this folder Javadoc. Now what we'll note is that the folder name will change, but new folder still shows here. So let's actually retype Javadoc again, and let's select OK. Now that should be good, right? Well, note the Javadoc location path is still referencing new folder. So let's make sure to type it one more time. A little bit of trickiness. Go ahead and hit apply. If you want to verify to make sure that that path is valid, you can go ahead and browse to it. Even if you hit validate, might be a warning. It'll tell us the location might be invalid because right now we don't have package list in index.html. We'll have those after we generate Javadocs for the first time, so it doesn't know that that's a valid location. But you could manually browse and just verify just by eyeballing it that your folder, of course, exists in Java Projects, Infinite Skills, Javadoc. And there it is. The other thing, of course, you could browse directly to your path and make sure that it exists in your folder for your project. We know it's there, so again, make sure to hit apply and OK, and that should set our Javadoc. And now we should be able to see it, right? So let's Shift F2, and it tells us this page can't be displayed. Well, why is it saying this? Well, because we haven't generated the Javadoc yet. Just because we have the file location set, we still have another step to generate the Javadoc. So we need to go ahead and do that. To make that happen, we need to go to Project, Generate Javadoc. Now what you'll note is that my Javadoc command is already set. So I'm actually going to take that out. This is most likely what you're seeing, especially if you've never generated Javadocs previous to this video. So with that, the Javadoc command would be blank and you would see a red X that says Specify Javadoc command. Well, what is that? Well, when we downloaded the JDK, it included a bunch of different executables in the bin folder, which we're using by default through Eclipse, such as Java and Javadoc.exe. What we're looking for is Javadoc.exe. So you could search your computer to find the location of Javadoc.exe, or if you remember where you installed it, you can simply browse to it. Now on this machine, I do happen to have multiple versions of Java installed. So I have JDK 1.8, which is the newest version at the time of this recording, and inside of there, in the bin folder, you're specifically looking for the JDK, not the JRE. In the bin folder, you're looking for Javadoc.exe. Again, you could search your computer for it and select that. I want to note that if you're on a 32-bit version of Windows, you may have installed to Program Files x86, so make sure you're just aware of where your Java location is. And here I do have one in Program Files x86 that is my Java 7. So I just need to scroll down once, and there's my program files. And in here I have Java, and here's JDK 1.7 bin. And so it should be available wherever you've downloaded your recent version. You should be on at least 1.6, most likely on 1.7 or even 1.8 at this point if you started brand new with this computer. You should have a Javadoc with the SDK no matter what you're using at this point. So just again, searching for Javadoc.exe will give you the common command that you need. And just because we're using 1.8 to generate Javadocs doesn't mean we can't configure our Javadocs to show compatibility for previous versions, which I'll show in a moment. Here what we can see is that when we expand this window over here, we can determine specifically what classes would we like to auto-generate this Javadoc for when we run this. And we can specifically select one class. We could select the entire source package if we'd like to, or just one of the packages. Here we're specifically going to only select Data File Manipulator just so it's really easy to see. And we can determine what would we like to select the visibility as far as the Javadocs to generate. And most likely this should be public, because you're generating these Javadocs to show other people how to use your code or to remember how to use your code publicly, so it should be a public selection. You could do private package or protected should you so desire. And make sure your destination is pointing to that folder we selected. Again, if you did not reconfigure the new folder, you might see new folder here. Just make sure that it's pointing to a valid location. Even if it is new folder, just make sure it's valid. Let's select next. Here you can see that you can title the document should you so desire. We'll just leave that blank. And we'll have different basic options we can generate, including the index, navigator, hierarchy, use page, author tags, version tags, deprecated tags. You can also select reference archives that you want to have documented in this as well. Let's go ahead and hit next. More options. You can select an overview should you decide to have an overview if you have a path set for that already. If you have any other specific information you would like to do. And here you can select your source compatibility. Once again, it could be 1.6, 1.7, 1.8. This is a 1.7 compatible project, so even though I'm using Javadoc 1.8 to generate it, I can still set my compatibility to 1.7. And I can save this settings as a script, should I so desire. And I can open the generated index file in the browser after it's complete. So let's go ahead and select that, and let's hit finish. Do you want to update Javadoc location for this with the chosen destination folder, Java projects? Yes. Make sure that that isn't set if that wasn't set for some reason. You may not see that if it was already set correctly. We'll note that the Javadoc then generated at the bottom here. You can see in the console it generated. It did tell us there was one warning, and we can browse up to look at the warning to see what it was. Basically, it told us at param m, no description for param. So I'm missing a description after this in my Javadoc. So if I wanted to go back into my data file manipulator and change param m down here at the bottom and make sure that that's in my Javadoc, I could. Well, you could search for that on your own. Essentially, that's a warning because I don't have the param correctly documented in this file, and so we could easily fix that. Not a big deal. But we can look at our Javadoc now. It has been generated. We can see that here we see the entire package. Right now, the only class we're showing is Data File Manipulator. We can drill into that. It tells us about Data File Manipulator, constructor, some methods that we can work with, and essentially, that's our Javadoc. And so if we go back to the Data File Manipulator now, and we hit Shift F2, there we can see our Javadoc once again in play. This one goes directly to the Data File Manipulator, the attached document. So now we have that set up correctly. And finally, let's just look at the browse and the folder in the Javadoc, and here we can see that we do have all of this information. We can hit index.html, and in that we can see that again we have our Javadocs available right on some HTML files. So that wraps up our look at generating Javadocs and opening the attached Javadocs for our projects.